The first thing I need you to do is take a moment and comment down below. How have sales been for you? They have been wretched on this side of the screen. I don't know. I can't remember a time that sales have been this bad. So let's get into it. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I am a part-time reseller on a variety of reselling platforms. And today in this What Sold video, we're going to be talking about sales across eBay, Depop, and Poshmark. And even though you might be thinking, oh, 3 platforms, that's pretty good. No, it's not, because on eBay, I sold 1 item this week. On Depop, I sold 1 item. And I did sell 8 items on Poshmark, but I don't know, it has been so uncharacteristically slow. And that's why I'm curious to hear from you if you are experiencing that as well. But what we'll do is we'll just get right into it. We'll talk about the very few things that have been selling for me because, despite the fact that there weren't very many sales, there are some that I think we can learn from. And, there are some brands that did well for me, one new to me brand. So let's get into it. The first day of sales that we're going to talk about is Monday, which was September 22nd. On Poshmark, I sold this shirt by the brand Mercari, which is, I want to say, a Finnish brand. Is that correct? I think so. It's one of those what's the word? When you're describing like Finland and Norway, and I don't remember the word, but it's like one of those kinds of countries that this is from. And it's Marimekko Mika Pirani. I don't know. There's the word. I don't know what that means, but it was a women's 2XL retro floral print with 3/4 sleeves shirt. And I put the word casual in the listing title as well. I got this at a local consignment store during their 75% off sale. I got it in August of 2025. So I really haven't had this for very long. And I had $5 into it. I thought I'd be able to list it pretty high, and the truth is this brand does do pretty well, and this was a really well-made, very soft shirt. However, when I got it home and I started photographing it, I noticed there was a little bit of fading to the fabric. I think it was well loved. I think it had been washed many times. Very light pilling to it. So I think I listed it for $25 and it sold in 1 day for $20. That was an offer that I got. And I was very happy with that. That was fine with me. And so I made a net profit of $11 on that. The next day of sales was the 23rd of September, which was a Tuesday, and I didn't sell anything. So we'll move right on to the next day, which was the 24th, which was a Wednesday. And this was my one eBay sale. It was this pair of Birkenstock footprints. So sometimes Birkenstock has I don't know if they're considered sub-brands, but there's Footprints, there's Papillion, I think that's one of them. But this one was Footprints. It was in a men's European size 40. They were leather, brown, lace-up ankle boots. I put the word durable in the listing title. These sold on eBay. Shoot, I did not get this sold price. Hold on a second.
3 hours later.
These sold for $34.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers. And the truth is, they were pretty beat up, if I remember correctly. I think the laces were pretty worn because they were the kind that you lace up, but there are also those little hooks for the top part of the boot. And when you lace through those hooks and you pull them really tight, I feel like the laces kind of dig in, and then it just puts a lot of wear on those laces faster than just regular lace up boots, I feel like. They were pretty worn. There were, if I remember correctly, a good number of scratches and nicks in the leather. But despite that, they sold for a pretty good amount. I had $3.79 into them from a local consignment store's birthday sale that I went to in May of this year. And I took a little bit longer to get around to listing them, mainly because, like I said, they were kind of flawed. I wasn't super motivated to list them. But once I did, they took just a little over a month to sell. And my net profit was $27.21. And these are the type of shoes that I think it's okay if they have some wear to them because they almost look cooler that way. You know what I mean? They're supposed to look kind of lived in and rugged, and that kind of adds to the whole look and vibe of these kinds of boots. So I think it works. It didn't work against me necessarily. If anything, I think maybe those laces were the things that made them a little bit harder to sell. But like I said, only a little bit over a month for those to move. Also on the 24th on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Brooks Ghost 13 gray running lace-up shoes. They were in a women's size 11. I put the word outdoor in the listing title. Those sold for $37. I had $4.55 into them from a local consignment store. I got these in June of 2023. So I've had these for a long time, but they finally sold and my net profit was $25.05, which I was happy with that. Like, you know, these last couple sales, they were pretty good. They net me the profit that I'm looking to make. This was another good sale. Same day on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Eileen Fisher women's organic linen pull-on cropped pants in a size 2X. They were blue. I used the word login look because a lot of Eileen Fisher pieces are definitely more login look pieces, which means they're layered, they're comfortable, they're a little baggy, they're a little sloppy is not the right word, but they're just like, I don't know, they just kind of hang loosely on you, you know? And these definitely were very just kind of like wide, drapey, loose pants. They sold on Poshmark for $34. I had 39 cents into them and my net profit was $26.81. Another great sale. That was something that I got at the estate sale that I went to at the beginning of May. And I got those actually during the bulk buyout portion of the estate sale. I talked to someone when I was there for the half off day sale. I talked to like the person running the estate sale and I said, hey, any chance you'd be willing to sell me the rest of the clothes that doesn't sell at this estate sale? And she saw like I had a whole mountain of clothes in my arms that I was planning on buying for the half off sale. It's not like I was just waiting around for things not to sell. I was going to spend a lot of money for the half off sale too. And she was like, absolutely, we'll give you a call once we're done with the estate sale today and you can come pick up the rest of the clothes. And she was like, we'll sell everything that's left to you for $150. And I was like, absolutely. And I brought home like over 300 pieces just from what was left over. And it came out to about 39 cents a piece. And so my net profit was $26.81, which was amazing. And those took 5 days to sell because I was like super committed and ramped up when it came to listing all of those items from the estate sale right when the estate sale happened. Like I brought that stuff home. It was a mountain of clothes and I was listing. And now the things that I have left to list, because I still haven't listed everything, it's stuff that needs to be steamed or it's stuff that needs a little bit of work, like some sweater shaving or things like that. So I had spent a day steaming that day through some of the bottoms from the estate sale. And so I put up a few of those pieces. Again, they sold fairly quickly, a lot of them, including this piece. So there's a lot more estate sales to come. And as you know, at the end of these videos, I have been sharing how much money I've made from that estate sale thus far. And I'll make sure to do the same in today's video too. But 5 days to sell for, you know, a profit north of $25, that's always amazing. Like if I could do that all the time, I would. But moving on to Thursday, which was September 25th, I had one depop sale this week and it was a really good one. I sold this new with tags Nike Dry Fit NFL Chicago Bears Salute to Service polo shirt in a men's 4XL. It had like a patch of a US flag and it had patches of other things like, you know, yeah, salute to services, like it had some sort of military like, you know, patch on it. It was a very unique shirt and I don't super remember when I got this, but I got it at a local consignment store sometime this year. I had $3.85 into it and I think I just got it because it was new with tags. I didn't really think it would be worth that much. But when I looked up comps, specifically for these salute to service polo shirts for the NFL, and I don't know if they do it for other professional sports organizations like the NBA or NHL, I just saw that there were a bunch for the NFL. And these shirts can sell for good money. And then again, I wasn't sure with this being a 4XL. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to sit on this forever. But this sold basically in like 5 to 6 days. Like it sold so fast after I listed it. And the dumb thing is, I had it in my house for a really long time. I just never got around to listing it because it needed a good steam. But since the NFL season started, I would keep seeing it on my garment rack and I was like, I need to get around to listing this because this is when people want to wear this kind of stuff, is when the Bears are playing, like when it's NFL season. And apparently, according to my husband, who's very into the NFL and who is a part of a fantasy draft for the NFL and is getting his booty kicked, but not for lack of trying. This man is working very hard in setting his rosters and researching, and it's just like the players fall short every single time. He said that the Bears are supposed to be the best that they've been in a while. So I think people are excited about the Bears. And it's not a surprise that this sold as quickly as it did. And it sold on Depop for $55.50. And that was actually an offer that was it an offer? I think I had like a 25% off sale going on Depop. And maybe that was my sale price. I think they just bought it outright, and my net profit was $44.48. So a lot of times these kind of like NFL or NBA type pieces, I don't really pick them up, but this was new with tags. And if you see something with this salute to service, something about that does make these sell for a little bit more. I think it also has to do with like the embroidered patches that are on the sleeves of these items. If you see these things, definitely consider picking them up. Also on the 25th on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Levi's 511 slim fit jeans for men in a size 36 by 32. I put words like durable, denim, medium wash, blue, straight. And then I don't know why the word style was at the end and it got cut off because there were not enough characters. I don't know what that's about. That was a rookie mistake on my end. But these still sold in 3 days for $21. I had $1.87 into them and my net profit was $14.93. I got these at a local thrift store that I haven't gone to very much in the past few years. I went once, however, like at the beginning of August, and then I went again towards the end of September. I don't even know why. I think I just had some time to kill and I was like, oh, let's see what they have. And when I walked in, they have this like big TV monitor and it'll tell you what the color tag is that week and also if they have any other random sales going on. And they had this thing about how they were selling Levi's jeans for, what did they say? 75% off. And there was like a special room that you could go to that was supposed to be filled with Levi's jeans. And I was like, oh, well, let's check it out. So I went to the room. It's like a little side room. And they've done this before. They'll have like winter jackets sale and they have just like a ton of winter jackets to choose from. I don't know where they get all this stuff, but I'm down to source specifically for jackets or specifically for Levi's jeans. But I walked into the room and there was a sign that said, sorry, all the Levi's jeans are gone. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going to find any Levi's jeans today. And I heard one of the workers saying that someone came in and just bought all of them. Someone was like, I'll just give you this much for all of them. And they were like, yep, get them out of our store. So they were all gone apparently. But as I was looking through the store for other things, I noticed, just Levi's jeans throughout the store all over the place. So there were a few that I picked up. And because they had said all Levi's jeans would be 75% off, and I think they were all priced at like $9.99, I was like, okay, yeah, these are in good condition. I can get them for 75% off. That's pretty great. And then on top of that, they were running a sale where if you spent $50 on thrifted items, you could save an additional 25% on your entire purchase. And they were willing to stack discounts on top of discounts. So that's how these ended up being $1.87. And I made a net profit of $14.93. And the best part is that they sold so fast. Like I said, literally in 3 days. Moving on to the next day of sales, however, we're going to talk about Friday, September 26th. On Poshmark, I sold this dress by the brand Dolls Kill the Grave Girls. So actually it said the Grave Girls on the brand tag, but upon doing research, I learned that that is like a sub-brand of Dolls Kill. And this was in an extra small. It was called the Soul's Embrace mini dress, maybe. It was black. It had like a really cute Peter Pan collar. And I put the word Wednesday Addams in the listing title because I do think Wednesday Addams is still pretty huge. And especially with Halloween coming up and knowing that Wednesday Addams is somebody that a lot of people might want to dress up as for Halloween, I definitely made sure to put that in the listing title. This sold in a little under 2 months for $25. I had $3.99 into it because I found it at a Goodwill in Seattle this summer when I went to go visit my parents. And it was in the children's section. Like it did look really small and it was like a mini dress. So I could totally understand how they mistook it as a children's piece. And generally speaking, most thrift stores are going to charge less for children's items than they are adult items. So this was only priced at $3.99. And when I checked comps, I saw that they were pretty decent. And I'd never tried selling anything by Dolls Kill or the Grave Girls. So I just went ahead and tried it out, and my net profit was $16.01. And like I said, that sold fairly quickly. Also on the 26th on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Echo Biome Light MJ Mary Jane shoes. They were in like a silver and teal colorway. They were in a size 8.5, and I used words like comfort and casual in the listing title. Those sold for $25 as well. I had $5.50 into them from a local consignment store, 75% off clearance sale. They took a little less than a month to sell, and my net profit on those was $14.50. Echo is a pretty reliable bread and butter shoe brand. It's not my favorite to sell. Sometimes it can sell for a pretty decent amount, and a lot of times they sell in this $20 to $30 range. Also on the 26th on Poshmark, I sold another pair of shoes. Actually, a lot of shoes sold this week, but I sold this pair of Crocs Isabella strappy jelly slip-on sandals. I put words like lightweight and summer and comfort in the listing title, and they were in a women's size 8. These sold for $20. I had $2.92 into them, and my net profit was $13.08. My high school has a mariachi group. The orchestra director at my school started this a few years ago, and they had a garage sale at the end of September to raise money for new uniforms. And so I went really not expecting anything, but they had some great shoes. Actually, just great stuff in general. And this isn't one of the great shoes. These were whatever shoes, but I just threw them in the box. But they had Allen Edmonds, and I got a Club Monaco coat. There was some really good stuff there. And I just gave them all of the cash in my wallet because it was all donation based. And at that point, I went towards the end of the garage sale, and my orchestra director was just take as much stuff as you want. You can just take it. We don't even want it. But obviously I wanted to give them money for that stuff because it was a fundraiser. It came out to about $2.92 per item that I purchased. And this was one of the first things that my daughter photographed for me. So I have employed my daughter to take pictures for me. I created a little training manual for her to look at so that even if I'm not there, she can take pictures and do a good job and do them in the way that I want her to do them. She took pictures of these, and she was like, these are so ugly. Who's going to buy them? And I was like, someone's going to buy them. You just wait and see. These were only listed for 2 days. And I think, again, I got an offer for $20. I had them listed for $25. And I was like, yes, you can have these for $20. And my net profit was $13.08. And I was so excited to tell her, girl, remember those sandals that you thought were so ugly? They sold so fast. And I wanted her to, photograph these, and I wanted to get them listed as soon as possible because when you're talking about the end of September, that's not really when people are shopping for sandals. This is the time when people are looking for things like those Birkenstock boots, and they're not looking for summery pieces. But I knew if I got them up quick enough, maybe someone who still needed more lightweight, summery type pieces, I could maybe squeeze out a sale or two of those kinds of items. And so I'm glad that I got those listed when I did. And I'm glad that they sold as quickly as they did. And I'm really excited to have my daughter on board. She is slow right now, but I remember I was slow too when I first started and I first started photographing. But the hope is that that will buy me some time. If she's able to photograph some stuff, I'll have more items photographed and I'll be able to list more. That is the hope and the goal, and we'll see what happens. And the last sale of the week took place on the 28th, which was a Sunday, which means the 27th I had 0 sales. But on the 28th on Poshmark, I sold this Banana Republic Issa collection brown and white animal print dress in a women's size 10. Their Issa collection is from so long ago. This is such an old piece, and I got this in April of 2022. That tells you how old this is. I've had this listed for at least 3 years, and I got it at a local pop-up consignment sale that takes place in my town twice a year. And the worst thing about this sale is that it sold for $18, which is fine, but I had $11.16 into this item. I don't know what came over me in that moment to make me think I should spend that much on this, but I did. And my net profit was $3.24. That was by far my worst sale of the week. which is better than last week because in last week's What Sold video, I was losing money on sales. I was making like 33 cents on sales, but that's still pretty bad. Like that's not the way you want to end. And that was my sales week. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my numbers for the week and we'll go from there. So on eBay, I sold one item. Lord have mercy. I got like a double, what is that called? Like the tactic, like the little, vibration on my Apple Watch. And a lot of times if there's like a double vibration, it means something with eBay. And I was looking at it to see if something had sold. It's not that something sold. I have an offer for a Johnny Was piece for $40. $40 for Johnny, come on. And it's like a plus size piece. So I'm going to counter it. Let me counter it right now. While this person is actively on eBay. And the thing is, my eBay, as you saw, has been so very dead that part of me is like, do I just accept it? Like, I have it on 20% off sale. So it's on sale for $59.99 and they want it for $40. I'm going to counter $49.99. And I know I should probably just accept it because I had like $5 into it. But I don't want to let go of Johnny for $40. Okay, let's see. We're going to counter. And the hope is that by the end of the filming of this video, they will accept my offer. Let's see what happens. So on eBay, I sold one item in this week of sales that we're talking about for $48.90. I had $3.79 into that item. And after fees and shipping and all that good stuff, my net profit was $27.21 for the entire week on eBay. I don't know. eBay has broken. I don't know what else to tell you. I had one Depop sale. It was that great Chicago Bears Nike piece that sold for $55.50. I had $3.85 into it, so my net profit was $44.48. And then on Poshmark, I sold 8 items for a gross sales amount of $200. I had $35.38 into those items, and my net profit was $124.62. This week, oh no. I didn't do okay, sorry. Hold on while I do some math.
3 days later.
Sorry, I had done something funky with my numbers. But in total, I sold 10 items this week. Ooh, that is rough. And that was for a gross sales amount of $304.40. I had $43.02 into those 10 items. And so my net profit was $196.31. Less than $200 of net profit. And if you think that sounds bad, I'm pretty sure the week that we're going to talk about next is even worse. Like, it was bad. And I think what happened is I was so discouraged, like I kind of just stopped listing. At some point I was like, this is not worth my time. I was really busy with school stuff too, but I think like had I been making lots of sales, I think that I would have pulled it together despite being so busy at work, and I would have summoned up the energy to list. But because sales were so crappy, I was like, forget it. Like, I'm not going to pour anything into my reselling business if this is what it's going to do to me. And I think that's the dangerous cycle that we fall into as resellers. When things are going well, we're willing to keep pouring ourselves into our business. But when things are not going well, whether it's because of things in or out of our control, we just kind of shut down. And I shouldn't say we as if this happens to you too. It happens to me though. Like when things are not going well, it's so hard for me to find the motivation to face my death pile or to look at, all of these things that I could be listing on List Perfectly. Like I have all these listings that I've started with photographs and stuff. And it's so hard to summon up the energy to do anything about it when instead I could doom scroll on my phone, or I could, just get these quick dopamine fixes by doing something dumb and not productive. But it's kind of like, why am I going to bother to bust my butt if it's not going to result in anything? Which is the opposite reaction I should have in those moments. When things look like this, I should double down and try to do everything that I can and throw everything at my business so that I can get the ball rolling again. I'm just going to admit to you though that it's been hard. It's been really hard to stay motivated when it's been this ugly. So I did recently film a video. I don't know if it's live yet. If it is, I'll link it. And if not, you're just gonna have to hit that subscribe button so that YouTube lets you know when this video comes out. But I did recently film a video about locking in and just getting the most that we can out of these last 3 months of the year 2025. And that video I filmed maybe more for me than I did for you, because I just needed a little kick in the butt to remind myself, hey, it's okay. Like, it's okay that things are not amazing right now, but that doesn't mean that you roll over and give up. And if you're in that boat, if you have rolled over and you're just kind of laying there lifeless, this is my kick in the butt to you to say, get up. Get up and do something about the fact that maybe things are not where you want them to be, but the only person that has the power to turn that around is you. So we gotta kick ourselves in the butt a little bit. We gotta get up and do something about the mess that our reselling businesses may be in, because we're the only ones that have the power to do that. That's something that I'm committing to, especially as my family and I get ready to go on a trip to Utah for fall break. Wish us luck in the midst of this government shutdown as we attempt to fly and visit national parks and do things that require the aid of the government. But we're going to cross our fingers, hope that our flights don't get canceled or delayed greatly. The hope is to have a good time, and the hope is to do so much prepping so that my reselling business doesn't suffer even more during that time away. So I'm trying not to end on like a note, but that's the reality of things. But also the reality of things is that I have gotten up. I am not just going to roll over and play the victim in all of this. I'm going to do something about these numbers, because this was sad. And hopefully after next week's What Sold video, which again, I've warned you is going to be really stinky, hopefully these numbers start to climb as I kick my butt in gear. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that your sales are looking a lot better than mine, but I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.